Hello, and welcome to Steffoodle. I am, belatedly, Steph. I intended to have this video out during June to celebrate Pride Month, but life stuff and health stuff got in the way. Nothing too serious, by the way, just some chronic stuff I deal with. And well, here we are. But my local Pride celebration is the same day I'm uploading this video, so there you go. And really, we should be supporting LGBTQ plus folks year-round. Now let's get to the doll. I've been wanting to customize this Bumblebee doll from the old DC Superhero Girls line for a while now. And her sporty vibe and the fact that I can fit some of my extra BTS doll sneakers on her makes her a great candidate for what I'm planning. As you can see, I already cut off her hair. It was a mess when I got her, honestly. I remove her head and scrape away the remaining hair plugs from the inside with a flathead screwdriver. I couldn't get all of it out through the neck hole, so I ended up slicing open the head to remove the rest. I removed the factory paint with pure acetone. Now I can use super glue to close up the head again. I sprayed the head with 2 coats of Mr. Super Clear UV Cut Flat, waiting 30 minutes in between each layer. I start off by mapping out her eye shape and filling in the whites with watercolor pencil, and I use chalk pastels for shading and blushing. Whenever I want to save my progress or I can't build any more color, I spray another layer of MSC. I actually did the vast majority of this face up back in February. I went back to touch it up a little last month after I'd been staring at the head on a shelf on my desk for 4 months. Funny enough, I was originally going to make this doll way back in November of last year for a J Fashion collab, but I ended up having to drop it because I was too busy at the time. I was planning on modeling her after a style called Tenshi Kaiwai, and that's Kaiwai, not Kawaii. Tenshi means angel and Kaiwai means neighborhood. So, angel neighborhood. It has a primarily soft blue and white color scheme and leads more towards sort of oversized athletic styles, maybe some tech wear as well. Cybergirl has a really great video about it, which I will link below, and that's where I learned about it. And I kind of fell in love with it. It looks so comfy and adorable. So back to the doll. I tried working on her in February. Since the Valentine's collab I was in got pushed back to March because we were all kind of crunched for time. I got the face up done at least, but nothing further than that until after Mermay. I realized that Pride was just around the corner, and I thought she'd look really cute with some pink added into her design alongside the pale blue and white. I'd already been planning on making an oversized color block jacket, so once you see the clothes, I think you'll still be able to see the Tenshi Kaiwai influence, but I've definitely strayed more towards athletic wear, if that makes sense. But it's still really cute. Onto the jacket. As I said earlier, it's going to be color blocked in the trans flag colors. These are the pieces for the back, so I need to sew all of these together to make one piece. The same goes for all of the pieces for the two side fronts. Now that those are together, I can sew the front pieces onto the back at the shoulders. Next, I sew the sleeve pieces together, and then I attach the cuffs. And now I can sew the sleeves onto the bodice. It was at this point that I remembered I needed to add pockets to the front of the jacket. I start by hemming the pockets and the pocket flaps on all four sides. Then I'm going to take these cute, teeny tiny plastic buckles and some ribbon and sew them onto the pockets and the pocket flaps. And now I can finally attach them to the front of the jacket. They are fully functional, by the way. I didn't sew them shut, I just had them pinned together so that they lined up correctly. Next, I'll sew on the collar as well as close up the side seams, including the sleeves. Then I can attach the waistband. The zipper I originally bought ended up being too short by like an inch. I was gutted. So I ended up having to get a larger one and cutting it down to size. I marked the length I want the zipper to be with a heat erasable pen. Then I removed a few teeth from above that mark on each side of the zip. Off camera, I used some embroidery thread to sew on some new zipper stops, as you can see, and added some fray check to the zipper tape before cutting it down to size so it wouldn't fray. And now I can sew in the zipper. I'm going to be lining the bodice of the jacket since the white fabric is a little bit see-through. The fabric I'm working with wasn't wide enough to cut out the pattern in one piece, so I split it along one of the same lines that I did for the color blocking. As with the outer part, I first attach the pieces of each section together, then I sew the front pieces to the back at the shoulders and close up the side seams. I finished both side fronts with some hem tape for a cleaner finish. Time to add the lining to the jacket. I'll first sew the lining to the zipper and around the armholes. Then I can fold over both the collar and the waistband and sew them to the lining. And that's the jacket done. This was probably the most complex item of clothing I have ever sewn, and it's definitely the reason I didn't finish this doll in June. It looks so comfy though, I want one in me size. She'll be getting a very simple crop top. I hem the neckline and the armholes, then I sew up the side seams, I hem the bottom and the back edges, and add a couple of snaps for closure. And that's it! Took no time at all, really. The shorts will be color blocked, but just the blue and white this time. First I sew the parts together for each leg. Then I sew the two legs together at the crotch seam. As with the jacket, these will need to be lined too, so I take my lining pieces and sew them together at the crotch seam. Now I take the lining and the outer part of the shorts and sew them together at the leg openings good side to good side. Even though I gestured to it, I didn't sew them together at the waist, ignore that. I forgot I was adding a waistband. And here is that waistband. I'll sew it onto the front first, then fold it over and attach it to the back. I'll feed an elastic through the waistband using a safety pin. The nearest one I had to hand was one of these light bulb ones. Just FYI, they make really great stitch markers for knitting and crochet. Once the elastic is in, I sew up the back seam of the shorts. Last thing to do is sew up the inseam from one leg to the other, and the shorts are done! To make her some socks, first I take a piece of the pink fabric and hem the top using some hem tape. Then I cut that piece in half, so I have one for each sock. I wrap the fabric around the doll's leg and foot wrong side out, and also around the foot while it's on the doll. Then cut off the excess fabric and flip the socks right side out. The stitching on one of them looks great, but the other one looks really wonky. But it's on the back, so no one will know. It's fine. I'll be giving her these shoes from one of the BTS dolls that I had in my stock box. It doesn't show as much on camera, but they look a bit yellow next to all the white in her clothes, so I gave them a coat of white acrylic paint. Then I color in some of the details with light blue and light pink Posca pens. Like, honestly, at the end I was kind of debating whether or not I wanted to paint the shoes at all. But honestly, I'm really glad I did. They look so much better than before. I clean up the edges with more white paint. Then I give the shoes a couple of coats of matte Mod Podge to seal them in. I made some dark brown yarn wefts off camera, and now I'll glue them around the head in a circular pattern until I get to the top. I decided not to straighten them because I'm going to be curling the hair later on anyway. Once everything is dry, I clip up the hair and begin curling using a bamboo skewer and my hair straightener. I also split and tease the curls as I go. And here she is after I reattached her head and gave her a trim. I also pinned in a bit of silk ribbon for a headband. I think she looks really cute. I almost forgot to gloss her lips, so I will do that now. And that's about it. We have our doll with her crop top, shorts, and socks. I just have to put on her jacket and her sneakers, and she's done. Joy just seemed to be the perfect name for her. And though she didn't start out as a doll for Pride, I'm happy that's how she ended up. And I hope that she brings some light, because it's honestly really rough out there right now for trans people. Here in the UK, even though the Tories aren't in power anymore, the Labour government have shown that they are all too happy to keep the hostility towards trans folks going, which is really disheartening. And the US doesn't seem much better, and things feel very precarious, especially with the upcoming election. Most of you, according to my analytics, are in the States. All I can ask is, please make sure to vote in November. I'll be sending off my absentee ballot and hoping for the best. But what do you think of Joy? And what's something that's made you happy recently? I restarted my island on Animal Crossing New Horizons a couple of months ago, and it's been really nice just playing a little each day and not rushing things. I think, obviously at the beginning when it first released, I was really excited and played a lot. But like everybody was, because it was the pandemic and nobody had anything else to do. And there was this very real frenzy that seemed to surround the game of people trying to like complete things as fast as they could. And that made me feel really overwhelmed, because it wasn't my playstyle, I guess. But, you know, going back now and having that distance, it's nice. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to see more from me, and click the bell icon and turn on all notifications so you'll know whenever I post a new video. These are all my socials, which will be linked down below. I'm most active on Instagram, and if you really like what I do and you want to buy me a coffee or help me afford more supplies, a link to my Ko-fi tip jar will be in the description down below, or you can click on the super thanks button right below this video. Oh, I almost forgot to say, thank you for there being like 5K of you now. That's amazing. How? When did that? How? Anyway, I'm glad you're all here, and until next time, bye!